Here we go. This is the Talkin Buds Football Show. Back in the saddle. What's going on, everybody? I'm Rob. He's Bryan. Week 7. Where is it going? It's over. It's over.
I think we said this at week 5, and now it's week 7 already.
I know, man. And before you know it, we'll be on here and it'll be week 10.
I'm excited for that, but at the same time, it's very sad.
It is very sad. I can't believe it. It's like every time I fire up Red Zone on a Sunday and Scott Hansen's there to greet me, he's just like, welcome to week 7. I'm like, this has already been 7 weeks of Red Zone.
I know. I'm like, shut up, Scott. Don't tell me this.
Yes, I know. It hurts. It makes me sad. We're going to start this week's episode with something a little different. We're 33% of the way through the season. Therefore, I thought it would be fun to let's do a top 5 ranking of the teams we think are the 5 best in the National Football League. So Bryan and I have gone into our separate corners, compiled our lists. In the interest of time, if we have the same team, we'll just talk about them then and we'll compile our lists that way. We're going to go from 5 to 1. And Bryan, we're going to start with you. Your number 5 team, please.
So my number 5 team right now is the Kansas City Chiefs. This might sound crazy, but I have them down at 5. I know they're 5-1. They've got a great point differential, but their offense has really struggled to be consistent this season. However, their defense has only allowed 88 total points, which is the second lowest in the NFL. So I think their defense is really pulling them forward to start the season. And once that offense comes into form, I can see the Chiefs taking this number 1 spot. And their point differential is only a 59, plus 59 right now, which is kind of lower for the top 5 teams. So that's why I'm keeping them at 5 for now. But I know they're going to go higher than that.
I have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 2. And while I agree with all of your points that you just made, and I'm not arguing with any of that, I look at that quarterback and I just think like they can beat no matter who they play on a Sunday. I'm picking them to win, except for maybe one other team. I'm picking them to win. So when I sat down and really thought about it, I said, I'm going to put the Chiefs at number 2, just because even a Patrick Mahomes at 50% is still better than, not saying he's hurt or anything. I'm just saying Patrick Mahomes not playing at his best is still better than just about every other quarterback in this league.
Agreed. You can't argue with that.
No. So I'm going to put the Chiefs at number 2. My number 5, and Bryan, I'd like to reserve the right to change this depending on what happens on Sunday Night Football. But my number 5 team is the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh.
It came down to the Baltimore Ravens or the Miami Dolphins for me for number 5, and I went with Lamar Jackson over Tua Tagovailoa. You can see there's a theme in the teams I'm picking with how much I believe in the quarterback. I think the Ravens they're a team. The Ravens are this team every year, but especially this year. If you polled all the other AFC playoff teams and you said, who's the team that you don't want to see on wild card weekend? It's Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm kind of shocked by this pick because Lamar is balling out, but the rest of the Ravens this year have not been that impressive. Their defense has been great.
I think that combo, I don't know. I just believe in the Baltimore Ravens and I believe in Lamar Jackson.
They dropped so many passes last week, though. But you're right. Lamar he hit the receivers. They just couldn't catch it.
Yes. And it's just a matter of time before that gets cleaned up. Okay. But like I said, depending on what happens on Sunday Night Football, I reserve the right to change this pick.
That's fair.
Yeah. Your number 4 team.
So my number 4 team, I actually have the Miami Dolphins at number 4.
So if the Miami Dolphins win on Sunday Night Football, I would like to move the Ravens down and the Dolphins up in my top 5.
And they're not even in your top 5.
They're not even in my top 5.
Woo. I mean, they're in my top 5 in the 4 spot because their point difference is 67. They've got the most total points scored in the entire NFL at 223. I just don't believe in their defense that much, so that's why I put them at 4.
And that's why I like the Ravens better than the Dolphins.
For sure, but, like, when you have Tyreek Hill and, like, Jalen
Oh yeah,
Waddle and
dude.
all
I
these
honestly
weapons.
think these two teams are interchangeable.
Agreed.
Yeah. So my number four team, or what number are we on?
We're at 4 for you.
Number four. My number four team is the Philadelphia Eagles. I I want to put them higher, but I just don't think their offense has truly. When I look at the other teams that are ahead of them on my list, I just don't think their offense is where it needs to be higher. I don't know. They've kind of underwhelmed me. Like I haven't. There hasn't been one Eagles game this year where I've had the feeling that I had watching them last year, where I was like, this team is a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
So
they win in close games, though, so I think that is
yeah,
better for them.
yeah, but I look at them, like if you look at them, like minor spoiler alert, but like when we went into last year's NFC Championship game against the 49ers, we were like the Eagles are the favorite in this game. That's not the case this year.
Agreed. The
Yeah.
49ers will always be the favorite in that game.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting at 4, though. I didn't see that coming.
they're just not as dialed to me.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fair enough.
Yep. Number three for you.
So I actually have the Eagles at number 3 for me.
There you go.
I was conservative putting them here because they have the lowest point differential in the top 5. They got a plus 31 for their point differential, which is actually really bad when you think
Mhm.
about a top team. But just from where they were last year, dominating teams, to how they're winning close, ugly games this year, I just think that's much better for them as an organization leading to the playoffs.
I think they're really missing Shane Steichen too. And once they kind of iron out the kinks with the new offensive coordinator and kind of get a little more dialed in that scheme, they'll be listen. I think they'll be right there at the end of the year. They should be. It should on paper be a rematch of the NFC Championship game again this year.
For sure, like on paper, but you just never know.
Since we already know what my number two team is, and I have a feeling I know what your number two team is, and it aligns with my number three team, I'm just going to go ahead and say your number two and my number three, the Detroit Lions.
Oh, this is my team right now.
Yeah, this football team, this is such a fantastic story because Dan Campbell was a laughing stock when he took over as the coach of, and he kind of did that to himself with the whole we're going to bite off a kneecap on the way up, even though I love that. But like he kind of did it to himself. But they are a complete football team. And they're a team that if they were going to come up against the San Francisco 49ers, to me, they are the best matchup in the NFC for the San Francisco 49ers because the San Francisco 49ers are a team that plays physical football. And what do the you are not going to push the Detroit Lions around.
No, you're really not. And like
Yes.
I think they've surprised a lot of people this year. Like I made a prediction that they would be good to start the season. I didn't think they'd be this good.
Yeah, and I think as a fan of the Green Bay Packers, who are just melted butter soft, like physical football, like physical line play wins in this league. And that is one thing that Dan Campbell has instituted on both of his lines. And that is one of the things that makes the Lions this year is they are just that, like I said, you're not going to push them around.
No. And Jared Goff as well has been playing incredible.
Yeah.
Even the last 14 games. You know, they're the only offense in the NFL that have scored 20 points in 15 consecutive games.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
not sure their defense sucked, but like that's a really impressive stat.
man, they are I am going out of my way. Now, I watch Red Zone for the most part, but like I'm going out of my way to pay attention to them every single week because they've already the NFC North is done. Wrap it up. Like they've already won the division. Like we're going into week 7. Division's gone. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
theirs.
And
Yeah.
like in my opinion, they're the second best team in the NFL. Like not like I know
Yeah.
they're on my power rankings, but in general, I think they're the second best all around team.
Yeah. So I'm right there. So I've got them at 3, you've got them at 2, and I think for number 1, it's a clean sweep across the board. The San Francisco 49ers.
Oh yeah.
I You know what's bothering me? There's a lot of discussion in US media right now about Brock Purdy. And like, is Brock Purdy elite? Look what happened against the Browns when he lost Debo and he lost McCaffrey and he couldn't. And it's like, no, I don't think he is elite. And he is kind of the product of a system, but the system is what makes this team this team. Like, you could put any, like, it's not, that doesn't mean Brock Purdy stinks. It just means like Kyle Shanahan has built this team and this offense in a way that Brock Purdy is the perfect type of quarterback because all he really needs is a ball distributor. And when you're in the age, like, it's pretty amazing that we're in this age of like young stud quarterbacks, right? Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, right? And Kyle Shanahan just said, I'm going to build an offense with a super physical offensive line, a running back that's a cheat code, like a hybrid player in Debo.
A defensive line of murderers.
Yes, yes. And all I need is a guy who can competently distribute the ball and we can win a Super Bowl. Which is
I'd say he's better than average. Sorry, Rob. I would say
yeah.
he's
No,
much better
100%.
because, like, we saw Jimmy Garoppolo in that system, and I mean,
Yeah.
they still made it to the Super Bowl. I'll give them that. But as a quarterback, he was maxing 150 yards a game.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And it's just, it's, to me, that's what separates Kyle Shanahan from every other coach in this league. Like, he doesn't need a truly transcendent quarterback to have a shot. Whereas like most of these other teams, like say what you want about McDaniel and the Dolphins, if Tua's not the quarterback, they're not the same team.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they're not the same team without Tua Tagovailoa. Whereas like Brock Purdy goes down, you could put, I don't know, pick a backup quarterback in this league. You could put him in its place and the Niners will still go.
I know we did see it though in the playoffs last year when Brock Purdy was down.
Well, yeah, and he was hurt. Who did they have backing him up?
I can't even remember, but I just know they were thinking about calling Phillip Rivers if they made it today. Yeah.
Yeah, like who, I can't remember who was backing him up, but he played and he was clearly not 100%. And he played against an Eagles team that was a juggernaut last year.
For sure.
Yeah, and there's no other team except for maybe like the Lions that can give the Niners trouble.
Agreed. I totally agree with that. I think the Lions are the only team in the NFC especially that can give them trouble. Maybe the Eagles once they get better, but not right now.
Yeah. So like they are like, yeah, they lost to the Browns, but like every team, it's really hard to go undefeated in this league. Like the Eagles lost to the Jets. Like I'm not gonna like go, oh, it's the Niners, maybe they're pretenders. It's like, no, they're not. They had it. It's really hard to go undefeated in this league.
It is. It's almost impossible. I mean, the Patriots were the closest ones.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get too rattled over that. I think we need to address the elephant in the room here, Brian. Your Buffalo Bills are not on either one of our top 5s.
I couldn't put them there, especially after even the Giants game. I know they won that game. It's kind of gross football to watch right now, and they're very disorganized on offense. It's like they play down to whatever competition they're playing against, so and that really bothers me.
Sounds like a certain hockey team that we also cheer for, but
yeah.
But I'm with you. Like I just watched. It's like you kind of won that game on Sunday night because the Giants are so bad.
And because Dable couldn't clock manage if they scored a field goal at the end of the first half, they would have either tied or won the game.
If you're we'll stay on the Bills, but just quickly, if you're the Giants, I'm kind of sitting there going like, why don't you give Tyrod Taylor? Like, I know you gave Danny Dimes all this cake, but like Danny Dimes stinks. Like, why don't you give Tyrod a couple more looks?
Could you imagine Danny Dimes making that end of game drive like Tyrod did? Never.
No.
And like it would have been a touchdown if it wasn't for. I mean, I'm not going to say that it was holding, but it was definitely holding.
So how do you fix like if you're If you're running the show, how do you fix the Bills?
I'd probably just fire Ken Dorsey. I've never
Mm,
liked him. His play calling is so confusing. Like he'll game plan for the Dolphins brilliantly, and then he just kind of shits the bed every other game plan. And it's up to Josh Allen to basically save his ass. And they still refuse to run the ball as much as I want them to. So I would probably get rid of him, and you need to get a few more pieces on offense because Gabe Davis is great for a couple touchdowns here and there. He's not a number two receiver as I've seen. He's not very consistent, and you can't force feed Stephon Diggs 14 throws in a row. You just can't do that. You need to
mhm.
start spreading it around. You have all these slot receivers that you can check down pass to. Instead, you just go for big plays to Diggs. It's just the same stuff we saw last year, just kind of playing it again, and the league's really caught on to their game plan. So I
Yeah,
think clean house.
I his team's not winning a Super Bowl with Sean
No,
McDermott at the helm. Like I'm sorry. Like I'm not going on this rant again because I feel like I go on it every week. But it's like what are we doing? Like you have arguably the second best quarterback in the league,
but
and we're
even
just
him, he
yeah.
plays down to competition. I've noticed this, and it's really like
He needs someone in there to get him focused again. Like he
he
seems like a
needs
guy.
Brian Dable. He needs
Yeah.
Dable.
Yeah, well, he needs a Dayball. He need any of these like the guy whose name is escaping me, who's going to be the hottest coaching commodity in the off season. The offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, the offensive
Oh,
coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Like go like seriously. Like if the Bills underachieve this year and get eliminated like wild card weekend or something like that, clean house and just call Ben Johnson. And you see what Ben Johnson's doing with Jared Goff. Like, call Ben Johnson and say, here you go. Here's the keys. How much money you want?
that's exactly what we need. And like after this year, if it doesn't go well, I could be okay moving on from Stephon Diggs as well. Let's just kind of
Uh,
start again.
and drama.
Drama. He's drama central, and like it's
Uh,
just so many divas on this team now. And
yeah.
I mean, their defense is depleted. I get it, but we still had a great defensive showing against the Giants and only managed 14 points at the end.
Yeah. I uh
I was pretty
it's
mad after that game.
it's it's a conundrum. Last thing I want to touch on before we get into Brian's bets. Fire Bill Belichick. It's over.
It's
Like
time.
it's time. Like it's time. Like this team doesn't have a clue offensively. You're in a position where you're gonna get a pretty high draft pick. I would even be someone who, if you fired Bill Belichick, let's just say they did it. Like you fire Bill Belichick and hire Ben Johnson. I would draft a quarterback, keep Mac Jones, see what Ben Johnson can do with Mac Jones. And if Mac Jones is a lost cause, then you just cut him loose and go with the quarterback, because a rookie quarterback, you don't want to rush him in there anyway. So I would, depending on like who it is, but I just, it's over. Like it's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's I don't know. Bob Kraft needs to do the right thing here. And Bill, thank you for your time. You will always be a Patriot legend. We're gonna give you a whole wing of the Patriots Hall of Fame. But sorry, man.
Do they have a path to Caleb Williams? I know the Bears are probably the most likely path for that pick, but
I mean, they're 1-5. Like they're
I know
right there. Like,
they're right
well,
there.
no, the team that has the clearest path to the Caleb Williams right now is the Carolina Panthers.
But they have their draft pick to the Bears, I believe, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So it's the
forgot about
Bears.
that. You're
Yeah.
right. You are right. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, the Bears.
Which
But
is that sucks for Caleb Williams, but I know he won't go there.
no, so there you go. Maybe try and exploit that. Or you're still getting like the Patriots are going to get a top 5 pick. So you're still getting like a top 5 quarterback. Like I said, get rid of Belichick. Keep Mac Jones for one more year. Because we talked about this on our last episode. Mac Jones has regressed. He's getting worse.
Big time. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
regressed hard.
Yeah. They made the playoffs in his first year.
And like he looked better with two defensive coordinators as his offensive coordinator last year.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think if you bring in like one of these like hot shot offensive coordinators and give them the keys, let them have a season to try and work with Mac Jones. And if it doesn't work, then Jones is no good. And you cut bait and you've just drafted a brand new quarterback and off you go.
Because like, if Mac Jones was, for example, drafted by the Dolphins, I think his career would have been totally different with
Yeah.
Mike
Could
McDaniels
you
as a
imagine
coach.
if Mac Jones was drafted by the San Francisco 49ers?
We'd be calling him the best quarterback in the NFL,
They'd be right where they are right now in first place in the NFC.
and he'd probably throw 300 yards every other game.
100%. But he's with old Bill, who's lost his mind. That team just doesn't have a clue offensively. It's funny if you look at there's two organizations with sort of legacy ideology and defensive minded coaches, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots, and both of them just don't seem to have any sort of clue on offense.
And the Buffalo Bills, they have a very defensive legacy guy.
Yes, yes, yes. But at least like they've been competent with him in this time. Like you look at the Steelers and it's like, what are we doing here with
Oh, I know.
with Kenny Pickett? Like what are we doing?
And the Steelers never fire anybody, so they're just stuck with their group.
It's like you're in a division with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson.
Like
Like what?
two generational quarterbacks, and you're
Yeah,
sitting with Kenny Pickett.
yeah, I know. Like what are we doing?
I
What
know.
are we doing?
And they're in the worst spot too because they'll win enough games to just squeak in the playoffs and then
Yeah,
lose in the first round
exactly,
every year.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. Long story short, it's time to fire Bill Belichick.
It'd be weird to not have him in the NFL. Like it would be
Oh,
like a
listen,
weird
he might
feeling.
go somewhere else. He might go somewhere else. But I just think for the future of the Patriots, it's so clear that it's over.
Yeah. And like just what do you see the video of Tom Brady on his $6 million yacht?
Yeah,
Just I bet you every Patriots fan is just looking at that video,
dude.
just being like, "Why did you leave me?"
Tom Brady, when he left New England and there was all that debate about who was responsible for the success, it's not even because you're even seeing now as the further Brady gets away that everyone credits Belichick for the culture. And I'm not saying like he didn't have anything to do with it, but it's like Brady just demanded so much of his teammates that he was sort of like the Patriot way. And that's sort of coming to light now too.
And a lot of people don't know this, but Brady used to make a lot of plays for Belichick. They would sit in the room
Yes.
together, and Brady would actually give him ideas for plays, and he doesn't
Yes.
have that. I th
No.
I think Brady was probably 9 or maybe 75% of that winning relationship.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Oh, excuse me. All right. Here we go now. Moving into the week 7 edition of Brian's Bets. Brian, we know how this works. You give me your favorite of the week, favorite underdog, favorite over, and favorite under, and I tell you if I'm going to ride with you or if I'm going to chicken out.
Perfect. Well, I can get us started here. My favorite of the week, I've got the Kansas City Chiefs over the Chargers at -5.5. The Chargers are just very sad. They're a
Hey.
sad organization. Justin Herbert, he actually played really bad in their last game too, underthrowing when it mattered. So I don't know. The Chargers are just spiraling, and I think the Chiefs are going to come alive in offense this game.
The Chargers are really sad.
They're they're
They're
so sad.
really they're really sad. They're another team where it's like, what are we doing here with Brandon Staley?
He's ruining Justin Herbert. Like
Yeah.
I
What are
remember
we
Justin
doing?
Herbert year one. He had so much promise, and he's been stuck
Yeah.
in this terrible organization.
I just don't know. Like, I don't know how these like GMs and owners can look around the league at what happens to like even like a B level quarterback when you give him like an offensive minded coach. Like, I just don't understand why are the Brandon Staleys of the world getting head coaching jobs? Like what are we doing here?
A lot of these owners are old, and they're like, "Well, remember the '95 or the '85 Bears?"
Yeah.
That's
Oh my
basically how
god.
they think.
The 85 the Bears still long for the 85 Bears.
Yeah, dub Bears.
I'm gonna ride with you on this. You're right. Just because the Chargers are sad.
Now the Chargers probably will give them a good game. I just see KC winning by at least a touchdown.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so my favorite underdog of the week is I have Detroit over Baltimore +3.
Am
How
I?
on
I
earth?
was gonna say. I was gonna say. Am I missing something here?
How on earth are the
Eh,
Baltimore Ravens favored at -3 over the Detroit Lions?
I don't know. Like you sent me that pick before the show and I'm like, that's got to be a typo. And so I went into DraftKings and I'm like, no, like what am I missing something here?
Like, is Amon St. Brown injured or something? Like,
Uh,
I must have missed something
I don't
because
know. I
I
don't
feel like
know.
that's easy money for me right now. Like
Y-
the Lions don't take anybody lightly,
No.
so
I-
I'm pretty comfortable with that at +3.
Yeah, me too. So I just Googled the Lions currently have 0 healthy running backs left on the 53-man roster. It's got to be injury related or something.
It
But
must be
even
running back, yeah.
yeah, but even still, I'm 100% rolling with you on this one.
Yeah, because Jared Goff will throw 350 yards anyway, so it's gonna be
Yep.
fine. And
Yep.
you can just run with your fullback, you'll be good.
Yep. 100%.
So my favorite over of the week, I have Miami Philly over 51.5. I
This
think
is a
this
great Sunday night football
oh,
matchup.
it's one of the best ones we've had so far
Oh,
this year.
yeah, we're gonna like the primetime games this year have been. I'm not to go off on a side tangent. We'll come back, but I don't think there's been a lot of bad football through 7 weeks.
Oh, even the Bills and Giants was a horrendous game.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's like really tough to watch.
tough to watch and, like, bad matchups with injuries too, like, with all the Jets
Even
prime time.
Cowboys Chargers, like it was like these are two teams that are like this is sloppy football right now.
I know, and it's like when you see scores like 20-17, it's so boring in prime
Y-
time. I think
Yeah,
this score is gonna be like 30-32 to
yep.
28 or very close like that.
This could be the game going up against this high-powered Dolphins offense that makes the Eagles come alive because they're gonna have to keep up
Oh,
with.
for sure.
I saw the Eagles will be rocking the Kelly Green unis as well. Ooh, those are
I
nice.
I love those, and they look so much better than, like, the Kelly Green Jets ones that they try and
Yes,
wear too. This one's the legit one.
I know. These are nice. You know what? You're 3 for 3. I'm gonna ride with you on this one too.
Well, hopefully I'm 4 for 4 because this under I have is juicy. So I got Las Vegas, Chicago under 37.5. I can't see each team scoring more than 15 points.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to see what the story on Jimmy Garoppolo is.
He had a
'Cause
back injury, but
it,
the way that he was hit, I feel like that was like organ injuries.
yeah, it's Raiders QB Jimmy Garoppolo dodged a big back injury, status unclear for week 7.
Now,
So,
if it's Brian Hoyer, I
yeah.
know he can put up some points, but it's not gonna be over 20. So I'm
And
pretty
I
good
don't
at
trust
this.
the Bears. I don't trust the Bears to like I don't
Well, Justin Fields might be injured.
if they go over 37.5, then it'll be the Raiders just running up the score. I don't think
I
the
agree.
yeah, I don't think the Bears are going to contribute to that in any meaningful way.
And do you think Fields will play because he had that thumb injury?
I don't know, probably not. Like the last I heard he was having it looked at further.
So that's why I'm pretty comfortable with this under.
Yeah, you know what? I like it. I like it this week.
All right, we're 4 for 4 this week. Let's go.
Yeah, we're 4 for 4 this week. Well done.
Perfect. It's our first time.
It is, but some of them like we were going 1 for 4 at least because that Lions Ravens line is out of this world.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like I know the running back thing, but there's a lot of running backs out there. They'll be fine. Practice squad
100%.
guys.
All right, buddy. We're going to keep on the road here through week 7. We'll be back next week to review week 7 and talk about week 8. My Green Bay Packers coming off the bye to take on the Denver Broncos.
Mm.
I just very quickly here, I could totally see them losing to the Denver Broncos this weekend. I think their offense has gotten worse. The bye was good because they had some guys get like Aaron Jones is back to fully healthy, who, as we've learned, is the by far the most important part of their offense.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they play against Denver. But I'm not going to be surprised if we log on here next week and we're talking about them losing to Denver. Not going to be surprised.
Because Jordan Love has kind of regressed too. Like he's not playing well.
No, he's not playing well. But I also think like Matt, I went on this rant on the pod a couple weeks ago that I think Matt LaFleur needs to get his shit together here. Like you're drawn like you don't have Aaron and Devontae anymore. Like we gotta work with what we have, and you gotta like you've got a bunch of rookie wide receivers, and when you have rookie wide receivers and a rookie tight end, you know what that means? Drops. So we
Yep.
need to stop with like the Jordan Love can't throw the long ball. Christian Watson can't catch the long ball. So stop trying it. Like it's not working. Stop.
And you're right. Like without Aaron Jones in that offense, they kind of get exposed. He's the
Oh,
reason they don't get exposed half the time.
big time. And AJ Dillon, who like 2 years ago we thought was like, whoa, look at this kid. He's a bust. Like
He
it's
looks
over.
like he's 40 years old when he runs the football.
That man moves in hyper slow motion. If that's even a
Literally.
thing.
I feel like he's been in the league for like 30 years at this point.
Yeah, and he doesn't. How many times do I have to watch Jordan Love hand him the ball and watch him slowly move behind a lineman to get 1 yard?
Yeah,
How many
that
times?
super frustrating watching that.
Oh my god, it's the worst.
Yeah, I know.
Like put your head down and plow. Like, listen, if you only get 2 yards, but it's a hard 2 yards, fine. But just like it's the handoff and then like the little tuck behind the lineman and like the scurry up, and it's just like, well, that was a waste. Now we're at third. Now we're at 3rd and 8.
You gotta wonder, like, was he this good coming out of college? Like, how did he really get this spot in the NFL? Because when I watch him
I
play and run, it's kind of confusing to
The
me.
Packers, Aaron Jones is actually an anomaly because the Packers have always loved their like big bulky running backs. Like I think about Eddie Lacy and those types of years. Like it's not he they've always loved bulky running backs. And
But I mean, it
Jones is like
doesn't work.
no,
It
and
doesn't
the
work.
thing about Jones is quote unquote a running back, but Jones has that Debo quality to him. He's not as like big and physical as Debo, but he has that Debo quality to him where he can like split out wide and catch a pass and get some
Yeah.
yards after the catch.
Or like jet sweep and he can just go.
Yeah, like he's the only receiver. Like I said, when you've got a bunch of rookie receivers, that means drops. And
Yeah,
Aaron Jones can catch the football. Aaron Jones's biggest problem in his career always has been staying healthy. Always.
for sure. And like whenever Aaron Rodgers was there too, they didn't run him as much. And now they have the opportunity to run him a lot,
Yes.
which might
Yes.
help him stay healthy because he
Yeah,
wasn't
but
getting.
Matt LaFleur, man, like I said this to you at the start of the season. I said this is really going to shine a light on Matt LaFleur. He hasn't done anything in their first 4 games that I've been like, "Oh, look at Matt LaFleur." Like he's a soft coach and his team embodies that because they're a soft team and he falls in love with the pass. He's kind of reminds me a bit of Mike McCarthy in the sense that like he starts the game and is like, we're going to run the football. And then the run doesn't work like 2 or 3 times. He's like, all right, we're not running the football for the rest of the game. And it's like, okay, cool. We're just taking our best player out of the game.
The Bills do the same thing, and that I know how frustrating that is. So it must kill you every time. It
Oh,
kills me every time I see it.
drives me nuts. Drives
Because
me nuts.
the thing about the Bills, when it doesn't work, same thing. They'll just stop doing it and make Josh Allen throw it 100 times.
Yep. All right, buddy. On to week 7. We'll see you next week. We'll see all of you next week, too. If you want to check us out next week and listen to us talk NFL for the rest of the season, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. We'll see you then.